freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 417 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearmsauctions.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is Responsibly Armed Women, and our guest is Michelle Camp. Michelle is the Armed Women of America board president, as well as a Utah state and chapter leader. Michelle has a passion for the Second Amendment and is active in the Second Amendment community in Utah. During the legislation session, that's hard to say. You will find her working with citizens and legislators to help protect our Second Amendment rights. Michelle is dedicated to developing leaders and instructors in her state and providing excellent experiences for her chapter members.
Welcome to the show, Michelle. Absolutely. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. So the Armed Women of America. So it has a long history, but a lot of people maybe don't know it by this name. So talk to us about kind of the history of that organization.
Excellent. I'd love to, Cheryl. Thank you. We have been around since back in 2012. And our founder, Carrie Lightfoot, actually started out with kind of her journey looking for ways for women to be able to carry firearms and protect themselves. And she formed her company, The Well-Armed Woman, which was an LLC. And from that sprang this idea for shooting chapters. And our very first shooting chapter was at the request of one of her customers out of Wisconsin, Green Bay. So our very first chapter was formed in 2012, and it still exists today from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And as soon as that first chapter was formed, it just kind of took off like wildfire. And so within the first year or so, we had hundreds of chapters, and we were all over the place. And we held our first annual leader conference in St. Louis in 2015. And at that time, Carrie announced, actually that was 2014, Carrie announced that she was forming a nonprofit for the shooting chapters. It had always been her vision that this was a kind of a public service to help women and not be a profit type of business. So the nonprofit formed in 2015, and at the time, when things are going that busy and that fast, we didn't put a ton of thought into how are we going to be branded? What are we going to be called? And so the name was TWAW Shooting Chapters. So TWAW, which stood for The Well-Armed Woman, but our name wasn't The Well-Armed Woman. It was TWAW Shooting Chapters. And immediately there was a lot of confusion. There was confusion with members of the public, there was confusion with sponsors, there was confusion with leaders because of trying to differentiate Carrie's The Well-Armed Woman and our TWAW shooting chapters. And we kind of fought that for a really long time, trying to educate everyone on what the differences were. And in 2020, Carrie actually stepped back. She had a lot of things going on with her. She's on the board of the NRA, and her father was really sick, and she was spending a lot of time taking care of him. So she stepped back from the shooting chapters, and the confusion still continued. And so in 2021, we decided we really needed to do a rebrand and differentiate ourselves. And so we took a lot of input from leaders and membership. And then in 2022, we went forward with the rebranding, and we're still TWAW shooting chapters, but we have our DBA, which is Armed Women of America.
Fantastic. And I do think that helps kind of help everybody conceptualize. I remember because Carrie and I, we both live in Arizona. And so we're friends and, we run in the same circles sometimes, but it'd been a while since I'd seen her because what happened in 2020, right?
I know.
We all got locked down.
Yeah.
And I went to a SHOT Show and there was a lady there who was introduced to me as the head of Armed Women of America. I'm like, what a great name. Oh my gosh. Why didn't I think of that name? I love it. And so then talking to her, she mentioned, a little bit of that history. And I was like, wait a minute, I am so confused. Where is Carrie? What happened? And so it still wasn't as fully clear to me as you just made it. So thank you
Good.
for that. And, we love both brands and both brands are doing amazing things for women. If you're looking for the right kind of, carry shorts or carry holster or, anything like that, then there's that Well-Armed Woman. Online shopping makes it so easy. And then when you want that amazing training that's female driven, that's, got that sisterhood and that camaraderie, you've got the AWA, right?
Absolutely. So yes, it has helped because we've seen a lot of confusion, even from longtime sponsors, just with the difference between the two organizations. So it's really helped us a lot to kind of step out and differentiate ourselves and, be known for what we do.
Well, whatever it's called and whatever it does, it's woken a lot of women and really has helped the industry because women are the voice of the future.
I know, and I love
and
that.
they really have made a difference in legislation, everything, and responsible gun ownership. I don't think the industry could survive without women.
No, I'm surprised it survived as long as it did without us being, in a more forward and vocal position.
Well, I think
So
that kind of like guys kind of set up the gun thing way back, but women perfected it.
Oh, I like that.
I'm going to get in trouble from other guys, but it's the truth.
It's true.
It's the truth.
It's true.
Who organizes better? Who tells the world better?
It's true. We
than women.
network like nobody's business.
right.
So what is the core mission and vision of the AWA, and how has it changed with all this rebranding, or was it always what it is?
Well, it's funny because our mission now is Armed Women of America exists to enable women to be their own self-protectors, creating freedom, peace of mind, and confidence in themselves. Now, when we did the rebrand, we really did want to go through and say, it's been 8 or 9 years. Is our mission still the same? Are we still looking to do the same thing we were looking to do? And essentially, yes, we amended it a little bit, but that's always been our mission, is to help women feel comfortable in the firearms world. Because I go back to when I started and I grew up shooting with my dad. So I was comfortable when I was with him. But when he moved 5 hours away and I was on my own to go practice and get to the range, I was not comfortable. And so trying to create a world where women could come in and ask their questions and learn what they needed to know in a safe, non-threatening environment is really our overall mission.
Michelle, I'm not comfortable walking into a gun shop by myself.
Sure.
I don't know why. I know more about guns than probably most of the people that run these shops, but I just don't feel comfortable by myself going to the gun shop. So I can imagine somebody, whether a woman or a man, new in the industry, going into a gun shop. It can be difficult.
So when you say
Absolutely.
by yourself, what do you mean by that? Like, because your inner introvert, kind of comes out, and you need me to extrovert for you?
I didn't say you. I said
somebody.
somebody. But it is an environment that you can't just walk into it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
There's a lot to know.
And the mindset of the older gun shops are not welcoming like the newer. And even when I first opened our shop, I had some difficulties with it. But then I would look up and say, what do I not like about going into a gun shop? And then I go, okay, do
Maybe
this and do
fix
that.
that.
And we fixed it.
Don't
But-
do those
And that's
things.
great to see, because I do think that that's changing, which is terrific. And even, just in the 9 years that I've been instructing, I've seen a big shift in how women are treated when they walk into a gun store, which is awesome. And I love it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So we touched on the idea that every year there is a leadership conference, an AWA Leadership Conference. And now I'm going to brag a little bit and say that I am so honored that I have been invited to come and be one of your speakers this year. And I'm going to be speaking on something that's a passion for both of us, and that is the well-armed woman. I'm sorry, the DC Project, because it is the education, not legislation. It's the Teal for 2A. And I am so excited to get in that room with all of your amazing well-armed women and armed women of America and talk to them about the DC Project.
I am too. I'm a huge fan of the DC Project. I have been since the first time I heard about the DC Project, and I'm really involved with the local grassroots chapter of our DC Project here in Utah. And I can't say enough good things about the mission of the DC Project and what they're trying to do and what they are doing. So I'm so excited to have you back with us again. I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of our newer leaders that have come in that haven't had the good fortune to meet you and interact with you yet. So I'm thrilled about that.
Well, thank you so much. I really can't wait. There is nothing like, we do a lot of Zoom meetings ever since the whole 2020 thing, and those are great. And this is Zoom. So this is wonderful that we're able to, talk this way without all the travel and that. But there is nothing like being in a room face to face with other people who are imbued with the enthusiasm and the mission and the vision and the values that we all share. And this conference will offer that. And one of the key things I think with the DC Project and with the Armed Women of America is, as politicized as the Second Amendment has become in Washington, DC, and, in some of our state legislatures, we citizens understand it's not political. It's in our Bill of Rights. It's for everybody. And so we are nonpartisan organizations. So we will have women of every background. I mean, you talk about diversity, and it's not always just diversity that you can see across a room, right? But it's diversity of life experience, diversity of ages, diversity of, all of these things. And that is, for me, it's so encouraging.
I agree. I come out of that conference every year just with a completely new sense of, being re-energized and rededicated and just spending time together with new chapter leaders and members across the country, but also leaders and friends that I've had for my entire firearms journey. So I'm over the moon excited. I can't wait.
So Michelle, when Cheryl gets in the wild with a microphone, she tends to hang on to it for a long time. So I was just curious, she should know that there's other speakers. You have other speakers coming to Missouri, right?
Hey, we're going to let Cheryl have as much time as she wants, but yes, we have. I mean, it's amazing how much what we've got in the lineup this year. In addition to speakers, we've got Lena Michalek's going to be there. She's doing a couple of live fire courses. We have got Mike Seeklander. We've got Terry Vaughn. Mike Hughes from Next Level Training is going to be there. I know I'm going to forget people. Oh, we've got Mio Strong from Smart Defense, which is a company that we've kind of just connected with. And I'm so excited about that, started by the Elizabeth Smart Foundation. And she's going to talk about women's defense. Myra O'Connell, if you're familiar with her from Ergo Grips, she's going to come talk about her survivor story, which I'm really looking forward to hearing that. We've got Karen Butler that's going to be with us.
Awesome.
It's just an amazing, amazing lineup of, I don't know how we're packing it all into that 3 days.
I don't either. I was looking, I'm on the website now, and we should tell folks that it is in Branson, Missouri, August 10 through 13. And I'm looking on the website, which is awaconference.org.
Do you have to be a member to go?
Well, that's a great question.
So this year, it started as a leadership conference. It was just for leaders. And this is the first conference that we're fully opening up to membership as well. So we've had some where we've done little samplings of members, but this conference is going to have a leadership track for leaders and then a member track as well. So that's really exciting. But the other thing that we're doing for the first time this year is we're actually having an expo. So kind of like a little mini gun show, and we'll have sponsors and vendors, and that is open to the public. So it's a great opportunity. A lot of our leaders and members like to bring their family with them. So some of the events are open for family, but this expo will be open, to family members, to the public, to anyone who wants to come. And we've got, of course, amazing sponsors as always, that will be at the expo as well as our conference.
Can a person be join at the conference?
Oh yeah, you can always join. It's easy. We make it easy on the website. And I think for what you get, the price of membership is incredibly low. It's $75 a year. And that includes, a monthly chapter meeting, which contains education as well as live fire practice time with all female instructors. We also have a lot of other events and, fun Zoom trainings and things like that, plus the sisterhood, of course, which is my favorite part, is just all of the kind of camaraderie. I was looking for women to go to the shooting range with. Now I have hundreds and hundreds of them all across the country, wherever I go, that I can stop in and have some fun range time with.
Oh, that's fantastic. So again, it's the awaconference.org is the website. And that is in Branson, Missouri on August 10 through 13 of 2023. I always forget to put the year because these shows live forever on our website.
Yes.
We don't want to confuse someone a couple of years down the road where they're like, I can't find this thing in Branson.
That's a good point. Good point.
Because you have these conferences in different places around the nation, right? I spoke at one here in Arizona at one point.
We do. And we're kind of playing with formats a little bit. Last year we did individual regional, we called them regional roundups. So we had one in Utah, one in Ohio, and one in Arkansas. And so, we go back and forth. We've been back and forth across the country in lots of different places.
It's wonderful. And I think that makes it convenient for people who, if they feel like I can't get to Branson this year, but next year I can get to wherever it is. So getting back to the political angle of our Second Amendment, which is just an affront, honestly. We've allowed it to become this political football, and different states have different rights than other states, right? And then we've got the federal government weighing in. Utah, where you live, kind of seems like it stays under the wire a little bit. It's not one of those hot button, you go hear about California, hear about New York, what is happening in Utah? And do you have any specific issues that you come up against there? Or is everything kind of like, all right, we respect the Second Amendment, we're going to leave it alone?
Oh, I wish. Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
So
a girl can dream.
I know, right? Utah, it has very good self-protection laws as of right now. But, I've been involved pretty heavily in the legislative work. Utah only has a 45-day legislative session every year. So it's pretty easy to kind of keep an eye on what's happening. But at least for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been up there fighting, red flag laws, universal background check laws, safe storage laws. So there is always a contingency here that is working very hard at trying to erode our rights. And that's kind of my soapbox, because I feel like friends that I have in states that are not gun friendly, like California or Illinois or Hawaii, they are very tuned in to what's going on and they're paying attention, but now it's too late. And in Utah, we really battle with complacency. People think everything's okay. And, somebody else is going to do that for me. And somebody, that could never happen in Utah. And so we've had a lot of times where, we've got people that are being bussed in to talk about, why women shouldn't have guns, or we had a law that was up in committee 3 or 4 years ago that was essentially the ability for a victim of some type of domestic violence who had a protective order to be able to carry a firearm without a permit. This was before we were permitless carry, without a permit for 120 days until they could get the training and apply for the permit. And we had female legislators in the state of Utah that said, well, I don't really know that women should be able to have a gun in that situation because the man will just take it and use it against her. And I said, well, I would like to make that choice for myself. Thank you. It just ends up being really frustrating because we'll have 3 or 4 people up there in Utah, which is a hugely gun-friendly state. And, people just think somebody else is doing it, or they're not trying to erode our rights. And so me trying to get people to pay attention is kind of one of my core missions that I do when I teach classes and when I talk to people, because it's really important that we do it before it's too late. Everyone in the states where it's too late knows now. And I'm trying to kind of wake people up and let them know that we need to be paying attention to this right now while we have it kind of good.
Arizona is getting that way. We are complaining. We're not doing what we should be doing. And everybody that owns a gun should wake up and talk, because our governor has vetoed every safe gun bill that's came through. And then you got me on that. You said that some people were bussed into Utah to talk about why women shouldn't have guns. That shouldn't even be a sentence.
No. And they're just, they have made up statistics, and they talk about, a woman is, I think that one of the I think it was Moms Demand Action that came in and said, women are 500 times more likely to be killed with a firearm if they have guns in the house, and just all sorts of craziness. And it's insane to me that they have a platform here, but they do. And they keep coming back every single year. So it's just really important that, if our legislators see 100 people on their side and 4 people on our side, that says something. Exactly. And so getting people to take the time out, and I know it's not fun, it's not glamorous, but getting up there and talking to your representatives and letting them know what you think and that it's important to you. And even if you can only do that with a phone call, we've had some before where we've actually been able to rally people, and they'll say in the committee hearing, I've had hundreds of emails about this, or I've had hundreds of phone calls. You have to speak for yourself, because I can't speak for everybody.
The only thing
exactly right.
that gets me is, women's, women that demand action said that, that you're 500 times more likely to have the gun used on you. The only truth to that is that any person that wants to carry a firearm needs training. Absolutely. And they don't say so. So for a person that buys a gun and takes it from the store and puts it in their cabinet and hasn't had any training, maybe that's true for them, right? But for responsible armed citizens that get the training, and it doesn't have to be every day, but just get some good training, then that statistics would go way, way down.
Yeah, I agree. And that's another thing, that you deal with in states like Utah, is that people, because it is so easy to get a permit here, there's no shooting requirement. There is a big component of people who feel like you can buy a firearm and throw it in your bag, or throw it in your dresser, and you're good to go. So getting that point across on how important training is and why it matters is another thing that's, really important to me. Right. I do a lot of situational awareness stuff and things along those lines that you have to have if you're carrying a firearm.
Yeah, super valuable. And we need to really push that training is important before the government tells us what training we have to have. Because they have no right, no position to tell us how many hours, how many this, how many that, because it's never right. The government is involved. It's not right.
Absolutely.
So if we don't train, if we don't be responsible, we're going to get forced to some stupid laws.
I agree. We've seen a lot of those already, so
Yeah.
we don't need
Yeah.
more.
Well, I'm really worried about Arizona because people are setting, they won't even read a petition at the gun shows or talk to their congressman. And it's terrible because they wait until something happens and it's too late.
Right.
Exactly. And it's so hard. And Arizona's got that same reputation like Utah. You know, we're the Wild West. Everybody's safe with their gun rights here. Nobody's ever going to do anything. And it just doesn't work that way.
Michelle, I went to more gun shows in California. They had gun shows in California that you wouldn't believe. There were everything from pea shooters all the way to machine guns and building after building of guns. And that just went away like overnight. And look at California now. It's almost impossible to even have a gun show. And it's, mostly glass and beef jerky. But so it's like, why do we wait till the last minute?
I don't know. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. And I try to do what I can and really spread the word. And it helps to have the audience that I have with armed women and just, have a lot of women coming through. Because I do think that women, like the DC Project, I mean, women are it's easier for legislators to listen to women. It's a lot easier for them to dismiss people who look like you, Dan. And it happens.
I know.
And so I think that women really could make and are making a big difference because people do listen to us. We're the moms, we're the caretakers. What we say goes with the family, right? So if mom's out shooting and practicing and being a good self-protector, then that's going to flow down to her family, which is hopefully going to help us build the generation of people who will be, vigilant about protecting our rights.
I would say, we were losing our gun rights really hard until about maybe 2000 or so when women really started getting involved. And I think we're slowly seeing a change because the women get out there and they talk. But I want to tell the guys something. Get the women involved in guns in your family. If you do that, you will be able to own more guns.
That is the truth.
It's a fact. It's not even I never have to say, I got to go buy a gun today. She said, why haven't you bought a gun today?
Yes.
And
I agree.
I don't know why we can't just wake up to that and you look at social media, the women are powerful and we need your help.
Absolutely.
I agree.
We're doing what we can. And there are so many people who are firearms owners that, like you said, there are layers. So, and we saw a lot of that through 2020. We had our retail gun shop. We closed that now and we sell through the auction, as I mentioned at the top of the show. But we saw so many people come through that would have never in a million years thought that they would ever be buying a gun. But there was so much uncertainty and there were riots across the nation and everything just seemed really upended. And so it was a tremendous honor for us to be able to serve people who, they are coming into a gun shop like, I'm having an out-of-body experience. I don't even know why I'm, what brought me here, what's weird life brought me here. And so being able to help them understand who we are as gun owners, help them understand their responsibilities as gun owners, get them connected with training. It was a wonderful time. But there are those people, as you mentioned, they'll buy a gun and we call it like the Christmas puppy syndrome. It's like, okay, I've got this thing. Don't really know what to do with it. And there you go.
But our guys pushed hard for training. It's funny because you mentioned that a guy walks in a gun shop, he buys a gun. He doesn't say anything. A woman walks in and buys a gun. She tells you why she picked this one, what she's going to do with it, and why she wanted it. It's awesome. And,
Yeah. And so then the next layer is the people that, okay, they've got their guns, they've got their training, and they feel like, okay, done. Mm-hmm. And part of what we do with the DC Project with the whole, educate, don't legislate is, no, you have to be a voice to protect your own right to own that tool. that tool of self-defense. And so that is that next layer, and why I think it's so wonderful that you're giving the DC project through me the opportunity to speak to so many women at one time and try to help connect those dots. That, somebody else, everybody always thinks, well, somebody's going to take care of this, and we've got our Constitution, so we're in the right, so we're good. And the somebody who's going to take care of it is looking at you in the mirror. That's your somebody. And it always comes down to that. And, some people feel like, well, I'm just one person. What can I possibly do? Well, Carrie Lightfoot was one person.
Yep.
And look at her legacy with what you do, right? Diana
Absolutely. Thousands of women.
Exactly.
It's funny that the Constitution, that said the Constitution will protect us. Michelle, how many laws can you think of that already infringe our rights?
So many.
Oh, I mean, hundreds. There are so many.
Right.
And it just gets worse. And we've been so quiet. And I think that happened for so long, where we just, we're busy, we're going about our day, we're living our lives, we're being law-abiding citizens. Other people can worry about these things. Other people can protest. Other people can do that because I'm busy leading my life. And we have to have a different outlook with that now, because the other side has a different outlook, and we have to be able to match their passion for our love of our rights. And I think that's extremely important.
Yeah, I see people and they say, "Oh, I don't want to do politics." Well, if you don't do politics, then you get what you get. Because
Exactly.
whether you want to be a politician or you not, if we don't talk politics, we're going to lose everything.
Yeah. And I agree. I get why they don't like it. I mean, I've been involved legislatively, even through my work, for dozens of years, and it is frustrating. And I am probably extremely jaded at what I see happen up there, but it's still important. You have got to do it, because if you just leave legislators to do what they want to do, they're not going to always have your best interest at heart.
Right. And like the women, what are they called? Women what? The Moms Demand Action. They're small compared to our industry, but yet
Absolutely.
their voice is loud because they're just, never mind. But they're loud.
It's amazing how loud you can be when you're completely ignorant of the truth, the actual facts, your, heritage of freedom. And it's amazing how loud you can be. We have all that on our side. So we just need to start speaking up and meeting their volume.
Absolutely.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for taking all of this time to be with us and talk to us about these important issues, and of course the conference. As we start to wrap up, could you tell folks how they could, again, get involved in the conference and maybe find a chapter near them and start getting some training?
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to. So you can find our website at armedwomen.org. You can reach our conference website from there, or you can also go to awaconference.org. And we are active on Facebook under Armed Women of America, as well as Instagram. So follow us there, reach out, find a local leader in your community. You can, with most chapters, you can attend a meeting for free. See if you like it. If you want to join, work with the chapters there, or you can join online at the website.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in August and all of your amazing Armed Women of America.
I look forward to seeing you too, Cheryl. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, Michelle. Have a good day.
You too.
Good stuff.
I cannot wait.
You better let them have the mic.
Well, that's
okay,
why we
3-day
locked
conference.
this one down,
Okay,
right?
3-day conference. I don't want to hear that you were on that microphone for 3 days.
Well, let me tell you, they've actually invited me to do
I see that.
2 segments. So I get to do the
Women
DC
dedicated
project and you on one day. And then the next morning I do the industry panel, and hosting a panel is one of my absolute most favorite things that I ever get to do, because it's kind of like, quick snippet interviews, and you get to learn a lot about several people in a very short amount of time. and I keep saying I'm honored, and that's not a big enough word. I don't know. I can't wait to get there and be a part of it.
So this episode was brought to mainly to let women who are not sure about shooting, maybe, that they could go and get help. They can talk to the people from the Armed Women of America and ask when is there going to be a place where we could go shoot, get
Yes.
together and connect with other people that are probably in the same position you are that aren't sure. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also women who are, very knowledgeable, and maybe they want to,
Share
their knowledge as a trainer or maybe a chapter leader or something like that. And what a better place to get tapped in to this nationwide community than the AWA conference. And so I just really encourage everybody, whether you are a leader, whether you are a member, or whether you are part of the public that can go to this expo, because I'm going to be setting up a table as well for the DC project, and some of my fellow DC project ladies are going to be there wearing our teal for 2A. And I think I might be at that expo. I'm not positive where the table's going to be, but I might get to meet a whole bunch of people who are just part of the public, or who want a little bit more information and maybe aren't ready to take the full step to be a member. But it's going to be wonderful. Again, awaconference.org. Get signed up today. Find out all the information. And wow, this is such a great and encouraging conversation. Right. I loved it. Thank you again to Michelle Camp. Thank you to our awesome viewers and listeners all across the world. Wherever there is internet, we have people who are hungry for this information. And Dan, they don't just take this information and, keep it to themselves. They take it around their dinner tables, into the carpools, when they're, doing anything with their friends and family. These conversations become part of the way they spend their time together. And that is where the needle gets moved, right? When sure. You banter about ideas, you debate ideas, you disagree on ideas. And that's one of the honors that we have of this show, is that, we tell people all the time, if you disagree with what we're saying, that's awesome, because then you're mentally engaged, you're chewing on it mentally. And it's a jumping off point for you to go and find out more information. Maybe find out that we're completely wrong. Maybe find out, oh, wow.
How many people you've taken shooting that's new, that was a little afraid or whatever, or just grown up or not around guns, that after they shot hated guns? Zero. We haven't had any.
Zero.
Now, I'm sure there's some out there. There's a few out there.
But part of that is that if you do it in a safe environment, then it's just fun.
Welcoming.
It takes all of the anxiety and takes it out of the whole equation. So exactly. We've never had somebody go, wow, that was time wasted. I hated that. No, they are like lit up. They're excited. Their endorphins are, exploding, and they want to go out and tackle their day and tell more people about their experience.
And then another thing you were talking about is when, people talk about what they're doing and share their experiences. I remember several times that people from different countries came to the store and we went shooting. And the conversations that were there, we are not allowed to have this. We're not this, but we can have this. Like in Germany, from what I understand, you can buy a silencer or a suppressor over the counter, but you can't buy the gun to shoot it over the counter. So you got to get permits and all that stuff.
Here you could buy the gun, but the suppressor is a big deal. It's
because the suppressor
control.
A suppressor does exactly what happens in a movie, just like a gun. They're unlimited firepower. Oh, I have to say,
no.
I have to say,
don't be bringing nonsense onto this show.
I heard Biden speak yesterday, and I don't think it was AI, but he says, if you put
artificial intelligence,
if you put one of these stocks on
a pistol,
it becomes a gun, becomes a gun, and you can change the caliber Make it high
fire,
power,
high caliber.
high caliber gun.
Even with using the sorry, my computer's doing something. Even when it comes to the word assault rifle or assault weapon, right? Well, we started using it because it sounded kind of cool, right?
I never used it.
And right. And now the other side has run rampant with that. And now they have assault weapons.
I don't have an
bills
assault
and
gun and nothing.
bans.
If I have an assault gun, I have an assault hammer.
Right, exactly. But, you know, now we're going to play this clip of Biden saying ridiculous, magical, untrue things. And that gets in people's minds. And then they can't sort out, well, wait a minute, what is true and what's not true? Because I know I heard this other thing a bunch of times. So we're working against ourselves when we give air to the other side's nonsense.
Yeah.
We need to speak the truth, let that be the thing, and move on. But speaking of moving on, we got to get on out of
Yes,
here,
let's go.
Dan.
Let's
All
go.
right. Until next time, we want to. Oh, wait, I forgot to tell folks how they can listen to the show and other episodes. If you want to rewatch this video or any of our videos, go to wherever you get your video
YouTube.
shows, YouTube, Gunstreamer. And when you get there, please hit the subscribe and the notifications button, because that tells those platforms that this is important to you. And it's a little bit of a hedge against us getting canceled. If you want to listen to the audio only version because you're out on a long bike ride or enjoying, doing some yard work or something, then go to our website, GunFreedomRadio.com, click the on demand tab, and
Binge listens to your heart content, darling.
beautifully said. If you want to see photos and bios and links to all of the guests we've ever had on, including Michelle Camp and including the conference, the AWA Leadership Conference, go to the guest tab at the same site. And until next time, Dan, we are going to pray for this nation.
Yeah.
We're going to pray for the leaders across this nation. We're going to a leadership conference. We're going to pray for those leaders.
Yes.
And then the people that we've hired with our votes to be our elected officials, whether you want to call them leaders or not.
No.
We're going to pray for them.
Yes.
How about the ones you don't like, Dan?
Oh, I love to pray for those.
Absolutely. Maybe especially for the ones you're frustrated with. All right. Until next time, be good to each other. Have a great week, and God bless.
Bye-bye.